And they said I had 20/20 vision. I did not. The coverage back then was overthought. To really think back to how I did my makeup then, and it actually kind of creeps me out to even like go through that process of doing my makeup how I used to. It's cringeworthy. Cringeworthy. Well, I have some cream right here. What is that? It's the sunlight. Do you see that? I have washed my curtains in here, and I haven't put those back yet, so the sun is just coming through today. I really am also debating, and I'm not actually in a debate anymore. I'm like in this decision-making process. I think I'm gonna cover these with doors. What do you think? I think we'll have to cover them with doors. I need to put more shelving here and here for the supplies of my body care line. And this is just like fragrance that I use every day. This is like decor. So it's just like, that's a lot of landscape. Not landscape, what do you call it? It's a lot of real estate right here that I could be utilizing. But then it's like, it looks messy, so I just want to shut it. Anyways, I'm just trying to figure all that out. But yeah, so it's IKEA. So it's just doing all the things, figuring it out. Okay, so I did face cream just because I always used to do that. Like make sure my face cream is on right before my makeup. I also have products that are very nostalgic to how the products back then felt on my skin. So it sends me back to like, this is just how it was. But this e.l.f. Hydrating Face Primer is a silicone base. This is what I've always used, like that type of texture. So we're gonna roll up these sleeves because it is gonna get a little interesting. But we are gonna just like get a good pump of that. It's so funny because it looks like the product I used to use too. So anyway, so we're gonna take this. Always would get it really good on my pores just to make sure everything is going to be really smooth. Funny enough though, I don't have any product left that I used to use. Like either I'd used it up or it just was like older or I just was over it. So anyways, I don't have anything anymore, but definitely looked back on images. So y'all know you saw that. All right, well, I'm sitting here editing this video and I realized that I was such in a hurry to take that makeup off that I never ended up going back to record the intro to the video, which I wanted to explain like the phases that I went through when it came to the makeup. So now I'm going to pop over all these pictures. You can just see this was pre-brows, a lot of heavy shadow. It's just a lot, right? Then it was like in, and it was pretty, and it was definitely the aesthetic that was like happening. So I was definitely on trend. It's just looking back at it, I'm like, that's so cringe. And then you can also see here, the brows were very thin, but they were very like drawn in and penciled in. It was very heavy lips, heavy cheek, and things like that. Obviously, I dressed up way more than I do now. Even though I definitely love dressing up, but definitely did more then. And then this one here, you can also see this is when I was in the phase of I had a backdrop and I was going live a lot. So I would go to the studio that I previously had because I had always had some type of space to go to that I contributed in, and as far as like renting or whatever. But I would go into a space and I would do live content. So that was back in like 16 and 17. And I was like twice a week going live, and I was selling product and doing all types of stuff. So you can definitely see I was like teaching a makeup thing. Then this was like going out. You can see heavy eyes, heavy cheeks, heavy lips. Then here's another one. I was always doing the berries on the lips. You can see the shadow, the inner corners, like all this stuff that you're seeing in images, you're going to see kind of play throughout me talking about my makeup, how I used to do it then. I think you're also going to see like a hair phase. You can see where my hair was long and dark, and then it went from like starting to blonde. You know, I was starting to do more blonde in it. And it got very damaged by the girl that was doing my hair. She just screwed my hair up, even though I was requesting blonde, but I thought she was properly making me a blonde. Anyways, long story. But you can see here, then another transition. Al and I are out, and I'm like full beat, you know, the makeup was makeuping. And then here I am, my hair's super short because we had to start chopping it because it was getting really damaged. Full, like you can't even see my eye color this is the thing, my eyes are so hazel. You couldn't see the hazel because of what's happening here with my makeup. And then you can see I started transitioning into lighter tones, like lighter lips, and I was like toning down the cheeks, and the brows were starting, instead of being brunette, they were starting to be like a blonder shade, you know. And then we went from like, then I was in my phase of like natural girl, you know. I was like, bump this. And it's so funny because I would at my studio, and it was great because I kind of made the rules at my studio, you know. I was like, it's my space, I can show up how I want. I was always dressed together. My hair was done, I had my jewelry on, as you can see, like I had things happening, but I was like, you know what, I just want to be like fresh skin. So I started entering the phase of like just making your skin glow, you know, and then teaching more like skincare. Even though skincare was a big part of like what I did as an MUA, I always was like makeup, you know. I love makeup, and I still do, but I'm more about like just keeping a fresh look when it comes to your makeup. But anyways, there's that. We're going to get back into the video. I'm just doing final touches to the edit, but I wanted to give you a little play-by-play on why I didn't give you a proper intro with these looks. So here you go. So I know exactly what I'm doing now. And it just like, it's cringeworthy. It really is. I'm like, I don't want to do my makeup like that. But I think it's going to be really funny. And I thought, because I've been doing these beginner makeup things and all these type of tutorials that y'all always request, and y'all love makeup videos, which makes me really happy because I love playing in makeup. But I'm like, how cool would that be, is to do like my makeup like I used to back in like 16, 17, 18. But you can see, as we talked about earlier, my makeup's evolved through those 3 years. But yeah, then I would take a washcloth. If you've been watching me for a minute, you probably are like, yep, you always did that. So now I take a washcloth through my brows, and then I brush through my brows. And then I would go in right to my brows. Like I would immediately put on brows. But the cool thing is that my brows are already like done because they're microbladed, but we still have to make them like I used to. It just used to be too much. It was too much, but I would always line my eyebrow. I would get the shape down. Basically my shape is already created. So I don't always do this anymore, but I would take it and I would go all the way down with it. And I would go above. I mean, I would line my brows like nobody's business. It was a line like that. Does this send y'all back? And then you would kind of bring that line straight in. Oh gosh, it's horrific. Okay, this is just, it's doing too much. But I would do my brows just like that. I had big, thick, drawn on brows. And then I would just fill it in. And so I'm just going to fill it in. I will tell you, I'm washing this off when I'm done. I'm not wearing this out. Are you freaking kidding me? No way. And I would take this brow liner and then I would go up with it, but I was not creating strokes. I was just creating a brow. Y'all, these are caterpillars. Okay, next I would go in and I would take a concealer that was one shade lighter, like, and then a shade that matched my skin tone. So I would go in with the one that matched my skin complexion, and I would go over top of my brows, because I would want to like line them in and get a thick like trace and make sure they were like traced out. Nothing about these brows said natural. It said, oh, makeup. You drew them babies. Okay. They had to stay. Okay, that was very noisy. Okay, and then I would take like a brush just like this, and then you would just go around your brows. So I would start with the concealer that matched. Y'all, this is really sending me into a frenzy. I don't know if I can handle it. I don't know. And I remember this. I would do this, and I would create this really clean concealer line. I'd be like, chop it at the end. Just like that would be the goal. Why is that a goal? Why was this it? Do we understand it? I don't even understand it. I would even sometimes put concealer on my hand and like dip, and oh gosh, I just couldn't imagine being like, oh, let me get ready and do my face like this again. Like, we're gonna be beat, y'all, like, for sure, but I don't like it. I don't like it. I mean, it was just like this. It was too much. Then I would take concealer and I would put it all over my lids, just like this, because this was my primer for my eyes. I was like, conceal your eyes, make sure, and still, same thing, I just used different products, but I would have concealer all over my eyes, and I would never use my fingers. I mean, my fingers, like, using them grossed me out back then, but now I'm like, I like using my fingers on my eye, to be honest. I used shadow, a lot of shadow, and they were all shimmers. I never used mattes. And if I did, it was a good blend and a mix, but this is the thing. It was too much, but I would always have some type of compliment on my shadow. It was never like, sometimes it was your makeup and then it was like your shadow. Like, those were the two compliments I would always get, like when it came to that. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really love that. Do you know what I mean? I love to hear like, you're really good at makeup. I love that, or whatever, but I'm like, that just means that's all they could see. They were probably blinded by the caterpillars. All right, let's find the shadow that I'm gonna use. So I know I would always go in and use a lighter shade all over my lid, even though I just concealed everything. It would be like locking it in. So I'm just gonna use this really lighter shadow here. Yeah, and it would just kind of like set it. So I would take a light shadow everywhere, all over, under the brow, on the lid, everywhere. I would not separate it out, honey. I was going all in, inner corner, lower lash line, everywhere. It's just so cringy, so cringy. So then my lids were like white. Then I would go in, and I was always using grays and blacks and silvers on my eyes. I was never just using like neutrals in 16, but you know, my makeup evolved, as we talked about. And so every time or every year, like, new things would come out, or I would just grow into whatever. So now I'm going to use like some grays. So I have some tones in here I don't even dab into anymore, but I'm just going to take a good silver. I would always even take a light brown sometimes, but I'm going to do like, oh gosh, I don't even know. Like, I'm so confused. Okay, here's some grays. So here's some grays right here and some silvery colors. So I don't know. Well, this makes me really nervous to use these shades, but I would go in with a dark shade just like this, and I would take it up on that brow bone, because that brow bone pushes it back. So I would like take a dark shade right up here. And again, it's not like it was messy. It just isn't, it's just not the tea anymore. But I was very good still. I mean, as a makeup artist, like, you just do things back in the day as like trends. I mean, and I was very good at like blending, as I still do my shadow. Like, you know, you always want it to be blended and nice and polished and all of that, but oh, doing this right now is cringing me out. It's too dark, it's too gray. I don't like it at all, at all. What do y'all think? This is just not good. And make sure, again, I blended it really well together, of course, like to make sure those kind of blend, but I would always leave this light really, really white, and then all of this was very dark. So now I think I'm going to go into another palette. I think I'm going to go into like some like silvery colors. Like, I was always doing like some brighter like tones through here and like bringing in the shimmer. I was doing too much with the shimmer, but we're gonna play with these. If I still had the palette that I used to use, I would definitely be pulling that out right now, because it would be, I would know exactly what color to lean into. But that right there is like really what I would do. And I would make sure this whole lid, like, you wanted to be like, I have shadow on. Do you know what I mean? Not that it was like tacky application and hideous. It was just what was happening then. It was still pretty and blended and all the things, but it's too much. Okay, then I would go in with like a slanted brush. and I would go in with like a really deeper shade. And so I would take that right in that lower outer corner and make this like triangle moment out here. And we would just want to really smoky out that. This is doing too much, guys. So we would do that right there. Now, always had fallout. Do you see this fallout happening? So take like a Q-tip or whatever you could. And the crappy thing, look at this mess. And the crappy thing is that the shadow I used to use too, it always had fallout. So it would be like always making a mess. But now how I do my makeup, I don't deal with this. So I'm just gonna wipe it here. That's another reason why I would do my shadow first, is because I was always making a mess. Always making a mess with the fallout. I'm gonna take a little bit more concealer though, because, not concealer, primer, because I want to make sure that primer is in that area. But do you see how I have like that line right there and that's not very blended? Like, I'd be like, it's fine, we'll go back and we'll fix it as our face is getting done, you know? So I'm gonna use a foundation today that reminds me, and that was very comparable to and comparable to what I used to use. So this is the NARS. I have not pulled this out in a while, but this is Fiji. It's L5 Fiji. So we're gonna go ahead and do this, and we're gonna put it on the back of the hand as I used to always do. Put foundation on the back of the hand. I would take my blender and then I would just start caking it on. Like, I was really, even if it was just a light layer, it really just felt like I was doing a lot when it came to foundation. I look very ghost-like, so this is scary. But this is kind of how my makeup used to be. Okay, so anyways, we're gonna now take a brush and get really in those creases, because that's what would happen, is that I would just kind of have like more of a mess of like blend. I had to really blend everything back then, because that's how, when you did your makeup, you were really, if you didn't blend, you were a disaster. Okay, so now going in with concealer, then I would conceal the heck out of my face. So I would go in and I would put a big old stripe down my nose, and then I would do the inner side here and here, and I would fill it in like a big old triangle. Just like that. And I would do a lot on my chin, and I would do a lot on my forehead, and I always did a big stripe right here. So I would basically conceal my whole face after foundation. For what? For what? And now I'd go back in and I would blend this out. Kind of give you a little story, is in 2017 is when like the video concept was a thing, like going live online, creating groups, like it got introduced to me like I should be a YouTuber, all this stuff. And it took me a minute before I jumped on that bandwagon of like committing to every week, but I was like randomly uploading videos just to kind of like help in the industry that I was working in, like, oh, this could help my customers or whatever. Whoa, this is so, and that's how my foundation would look. It would be like, I put on foundation, I put on concealer, and I still look the same. It's just heavier coverage. But I would do a contour stick. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to use something that was, look at this color. It's just not even, but I'm going to use the Fenty. This is Mocha, and this reminds me also what I used to use. So I'm going to definitely do that. And then I'll use like a bronzing powder I used to always do. So I would just do stripes. And then we'll blend this through. I mean, I never was like technical. I was just like, put it on because you can blend it out, you know? Like, I had the techniques that I liked, but I was pretty much like, I can blend it and make it look good. You know what I mean? My face always was blended. That was never a problem. Again, I always had compliments on my makeup, but it was like, you know, it was just, I don't know. It's just what it was then. Like, I just look back and I'm like, it was just too much eye and too much lip and too much blush. You know what I mean? I was like shadow blind. I was blush blind. I was all the things. So I would take this in and then I would just create like just some definition on the face. But anyways, that's what was big for me back then. It was like going live and scheduling time so people knew when you were going to be live. Doing giveaways was a big deal back then. It was also a big deal, like, again, having groups and having, like, you know, promotional stuff within groups. Like, that's how I would do it. And so anyways, I got really serious with being a makeup artist, like, in this year, like, 2017 that I'm talking about. Like, we're doing, like, more 2016 makeup is my inspo for my pictures, but, like, from 2017 is when I got serious about my MUA and just showing up better with my skills that I knew that I could execute really well. And then I was doing like weddings and stuff. Like this right here is like, okay, it's coming together. Just too much effort and something that I could get in like an easier way. So anyways, it's just a lot. It's a lot and it's too much. So I would do that. Then I would go back in with powder and I would just use my beauty blender. So I'm going to take my blender and I would dip it right into my powder. I wouldn't put it in the lid. I wouldn't dust it off or anything. I would just go just like this. And I would do just like this. And I would get, this is also when translucent powder became really big. And I was doing translucent powder instead of a colored powder. And I would just take it and I would just let it sit in those spots and just let it bake. It's also when baking was really big, like bake your concealer type vibe. And I would want to bake all the things. I was like, lighten me up, girl. So I would do just like that. And then after I would let that sit for a while and then I would brush it out, then I would go back in with like a bronzing powder. And I'm going to use, I think today, my bronzing powder. I'm going to go into this Benefit and use this one because this is very similar as well to what I used to use. So after I would like let that sit for a minute, I would just brush it out just like this. I think I'm going to use this medium full one. And then I would just go in and I would just hit those spots again. Yeah, I don't like that brush. No, we're not doing that one. That one did not do what I wanted it to. And then I would just hit those spots one more time. I'm all warmed up. I would always get my chin really well because I've always been very self-conscious of my chin and jawline. So back then more than ever. I mean, I would straight up go in with bronzer. So like we're gonna make sure we're bronzed up. Yep. And then if I wanted to clean this up a little bit more, I would go in with that, you know, let it sit there, turn this around and just kind of soften that up. But honestly, I felt like I had white stripes sometimes. So yeah, in 17, it was like, you should do YouTube, you should be online, all that. And so I wish now looking back, because really a lot of makeup artists or YouTubers got online in like 2015. So I would have only been like a couple years behind, but I was a while behind. I'm trying to find the right eyeliner that I want to use. Actually, I think this one's going to be good. The Waterline one, but this, I don't really like this one at all because it bleeds, but my other one didn't ever bleed. So anyways, I'm going to do this, and I would always do a black line on the top. I would always get like a really thick, I was like, yes, do your liner, especially on the top. I was never just do liner on the bottom girly, but I would definitely, if I had it on the top typically, I would always have it on the bottom because I felt uneven if I didn't finish it for whatever reason. And so I always remember always teaching girls how to do eyeliner. And now I never do liner. Like I just think it's too much for like an everyday look. But like you see that black line on top, that was it. That was what I was doing. I would take it out, I would pull it a little bit outside, and then I would just go under. And I would create the liner underneath. But anyway, so in 17 it was like, do it. I did my first YouTube video in 17. That's also when I moved into my new studio. But I was so focused on work. And video was like, it can help my work. It wasn't like I could do that full time. This right here. Yep, this is how it was, guys. I would just do an eyeliner just like that. And I would get it in the waterline. Not every time, but mostly. And I would darken it up a little bit. Again, I wasn't trying to be messy with it. That's just kind of sometimes how it looked, like compared to now. And that's how my eyes would be, and I'd be like, yes, eyes are done. Girl, stop playing. It's not good. This is not good. So again, if you're like, what's happening right now? 2016 makeup is what's happening. We are definitely step back in time. So anyways, I was just like, let me do a video. I think this would be fun. And it was. I mean, it was fine. I just wasn't good at it. I'll tell you this. I had a desktop Mac, but I didn't really know like how I could do a video and then edit it on the Mac and then put it on YouTube. I was very like, you know, I was closed off from that. Like I didn't know how to do it. And so when I met Olivia, she was like, I can upload them for you and do whatever, just give me the footage. So I was recording from my cell phone, and then I would give her the footage. She would edit that and get it online. So it took me a few years before I like understood the concept of like, oh, this is how you do it. You know, sometimes it just takes people a minute. And so in 2019, literally, 2 years later, I went and bought my first laptop because I was like, you know, I was using hers every now and then when she was like at the studio with me or something. But other than that, I just had an iPad and my phone, and I just didn't know how I could like do YouTube from that. I was struggling. And so then in 2019 is when I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna just like get more serious with this. So then I wasn't uploading weekly. I was like uploading like just like randomly whenever I was like promoting something. All right, now we're just gonna do mascara. This is Polite Society mascara. It's actually really good. It's a mini, and I've always been like kind of picky with mascara. Always had one back in the day that I used all the time, and this kind of reminds me of it in a sense, but I'm like, it's mascara. It's not gonna make or break this whole look. So I'm just gonna make sure I thicken up every single lash, because that's really how I did it. It was just from root to tip. It was thick. Like there wasn't like an in-between. And so I just made sure I coated every lash. So in 2019, I was like, okay, here we go. I got my own laptop doing all things. But then it took me still like a year to figure that out. And then in 2020, we were all kind of forced to work from home. And so then I was like, you know what? Like, I want to focus on my brand, my name, my brand, all that stuff. And so I really went more like 100% into that instead of just like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because I was like building another brand and then like for somebody else promoting it. And anyways, I wanted to like just have my own. And so now here we are 4 years later after 2020, and I feel like that was just yesterday. But I would always get mascara thick through there too. It would always just be a good thick layer. I mean, I felt like back then I was cute, but when I do this, I'm like, it's taking away from my actual eye. It's not making my eyes better. It's actually making them smaller. And I would never take shadow underneath in 2016. I was just like, liner, mascara, this is what it was. And then I would go in with blush, and I would really do like a heavy blush. So I think like I would always do like either like a peachy pink or something like that. So I think today I'm still gonna do the same one from this Benefit palette. This is it's just a mix with like a cheek and a bronzer. But I would go just like this. I would go from apple up into the hairline. Like it was just cheek color. Yeah, it was just like that. I was definitely blush blind for sure. And then, you know what? This brings me back to very nostalgic. But I would go in with my concealer on these areas right here. And I would go back and I would like double down on thinning out my nose. So I was taking it right here. And so then in 2022 is when I stepped away from promoting the other company that I was with for cosmetics. And I was like, I'm just doing my own thing. So it felt really good to step away, start using other products, because it really allowed me to have more fun with my passion. And I would sometimes even just take a brush. If I can't get this blended. You know what? This is reminding me back in the day. This is what would happen. See, this dries down too fast and then it looks like bleh. So let me just, yeah, I would get this really light. Okay. And then I can blend out the sides. Yeah, this is pulling up, which is so obnoxious. Then I would take, oh, there comes Timber. Then I would take a little bit of like a powder brush and I would go down the sides, just like so. And then I would have like this really light nose in the center. And then I would have that. Okay, so now we're gonna do lips. I would always have a liner, like always have a liner. And it would always be more of like a pinky neutral. So I'm gonna see if I can find a good pinky neutral, kind of like berry moment over here. This one is from the Kylie line. It's called 102, can't even see. Extraordinary, I think. It's like a silver print, so hard to see that. Okay, so then I would never skip lip liner. And honestly, so I feel like I kind of started over in 2024 with my content because we went through a phase. Also, we did all this stuff on my YouTube channel. I did a particular cosmetic line because that's kind of who I was working with and for at that time in my life, and had moved very fast in that company and just was having a really good time, making good money. But it was like, I just wasn't fulfilled, you know, personally. And I felt like I was doing all this work for them, and I was like, what for me? Like, I could lose it all tomorrow, you know. And that's what I was kind of figuring out through stuff that was happening. And so I was like, I need to build my own. I always can support myself, so what can I do? And so then I just like stepped away and started like just promoting Amber Lykins as the brand myself. And so yeah, I would always do lip liner, just a good thick line. I never did outlining or anything like that. I always just stayed in. And then I would do a lipstick. I always had different lipsticks. But you know what? I'm really not much of a lipstick kind of person anymore. I like lip color. I just don't love like a lipstick. But I'm going to go into this Rare Beauty. This reminds me pretty much of what I would do, like a nude lipstick with a berry liner. And it's definitely like lipstick, you know, feel on my lippies. So I got something in my nose. I think it's concealer. I think I went all in with concealer. And I would just have to, what is this on my nose? Yeah, it's like, it's the foundation. I don't love that foundation. Like, it covers well, but it picks up. Yeah, and it's picking up that. That's so obnoxious. Well, hi guys. It's Amber in 2016, just going back in time. And then I would always spray myself with a setting spray. But girl, I'm not even wasting that setting spray because you know I'm about to wash this face off. I cannot wait to take pictures of this and be like, this is me back in the day. Here's me now. Here's me back then. Don't I look the same? And so 2022 started using like openly all types of other cosmetics. But yeah, my YouTube channel just evolved into different things. And then it went from me promoting that, then me promoting like still doing cosmetics, but myself. And then I was like, now I'm evolving into using new products. And then I was doing that. And then we started doing all these house renovations. And I was like, I already have a YouTube channel. I don't know why I didn't start another YouTube channel. I just didn't want to manage another one. I was like, I can upload twice a week, do beauty one day and do like home renos another day that week. So I was doing that, and that really declined. So doing those things, it made my channel just kind of like stagnant or decline, you know. And I was like, dang, I really screwed that up. So then I was like, forget it, I'll start a whole new channel for DIY, home decor, home renovations, and stuff that I actually love and very passionate about. It's just not like, I don't find myself like in a zone doing that every single day. I just love beauty so much. And so, but that is a part of my life, is projects and house and decor and decorating. It's still lifestyle and very beautiful to me. But anyways, it needed its own channel. So now my channel is just like last year, which was 2023. I just went all in with giving reviews on all the new beauty products that I was spending my money on. I mean, I had nothing sent to me. And then now this year, it was like really just giving you more my full-time personality. My personality is in every video, but I like really dove into like a different craft when it came to my content for beauty. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see kind of what 2025 holds. But I just thought, let's step back in time. And this really, even my hair kind of looks like what I used to have my hair. So anyways, let me know what you think about this. I did a little storytelling here. I don't know if you were into that, but I wanted to just like take you back to kind of have you understand. And all of that's off of memory. So I know I left a ton out, not on purpose. It's just maybe if I had notes, we could have worked with that. But this is definitely how my makeup was. And do we like it? We do not. Okay? I don't care what you vote. Girl is taking this off, and I will not be doing this again. Okay? But yeah, this is wild to me. I was eyeliner blind, blush blind, shadow blind. It was a lot. I was very blind, honey. And they said I had 20/20 vision. I did not. I did not. Anyways, this was a good time. Thank you. If you're into this type of content and just like being here, hanging out, having some girl time, then this is the place for you. I'm excited. Oh, can I just say that it definitely covered up my darkness, my dark areas. Wow. The coverage back then was overthawing. Anyways, this was a good time. Thank you. Subscribe, comment below. Let me know what you think about it. And I can't wait to see you in next week's video. This was a good time. I'm going to go to the kitchen now, make my beauty product. Oh, and then in 2023, the end of 2022, I started making my own body care product at home just for myself. I launched it in 23 to the public. And I would say 2023 was really a learning phase that I was in of making my own scrubs and stuff, and it was very much on a smaller scale. But this year in 24, it really kind of like skyrocketed, and I'm very excited about that, to just see what that evolves with in the next several years. Yeah, and I look forward to adding new things to the collection, which I did do this year. So if you don't know anything about the body care line, follow this Instagram, because I share all the deets there. And then I do sprinkle it in here to my channel. So I am very happy that you were here, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. I'm really going now. I'm going. Okay. Toodles.